Hi Booktube, it's Amy. I'm here with a couple of books that came in the mail today. Two books by A. Edward Newton, both from the 1920s. And I'm going to start by showing you the one that's in a little bit better condition here. You can see the significant difference between the two books. So I have A Magnificent Farce, which is actually in pretty decent condition considering. And I got a nice surprise when I opened up the package in the mail today because we have a previous owner's book plate with this very interesting furry hand or paw that is reaching up to grasp a cross or a crucifix of some sort. And the previous owner's name is Lawrence C. Phillips, and we have an interesting little note up here in the corner, which I'm assuming is from the bookseller, either the bookseller I purchased it from or a previous bookseller. And we also have a dedication to the owner of the book plate for Christmas from his nephew in 1921. And this note up here in the corner states that this is an association copy. Lawrence C. Phillips, U.S. Senator from Colorado, 25. And I'm assuming that would be 1925, perhaps that's a reference to. But out of curiosity, I did look up this Senator Lawrence C. Phillips, and he was indeed a U.S. Senator from the state of Colorado for about a decade in the 1920s and 30s approximately. And he wasn't really a senator of note, I don't think, because his Wikipedia entry is very, very small. But it was interesting all the same to see that he was a previous owner of this book and to see that he had a custom book plate made and assumably pasted in all the books of his library. So I'd be very interested to see or to find out. It's probably quite impossible at this point, but it would be interesting to know if there are any other books out there from his library floating around and what his library contained. Did he like A. Edward Newton, or was this simply a gift from his nephew that he never read? I shall probably never know. But it's interesting all the same. I do like knowing things about the previous owners of the books that come into my shelves. And we have this very interesting frontispiece here, a watercolor by William Blake, which indicates that A. Edward Newton must talk about William Blake at some point in this volume. And Edward Newton wrote a number of books in the 1920s and 1930s about book collecting and about books. And so here we have the title page printed in Boston, A Magnificent Book Farce and Other Diversions of a Book Collector. And it says he's the author of The Amenities of Book Collecting, which I also own. And this book was originally published in 1921, and this is the second impression from September of 1921, as indicated here. And it's dedicated to William Maxwell Scott. For over 25 years, we have been yoked to the same plow, and if we have kept the furrow straight, it is because we have pulled together. And so let's take a look at what we have inside here. I'm looking to see if there is a table of contents. We begin with a section titled Purely Personal, but then we skip ahead here after that to the table of contents, which has an essay titled A Magnificent Farce, followed by On Commencing Author, followed by Luck, What is the Matter with the Bookshop, a slogan for booksellers, Tea is not in mortals to command success, Meditations on a Quarto Hamlet, Walt Whitman, 20, Living 25 Hours a Day, A Sane View of William Blake, and My Old Lady London. Followed by a list of illustrations here. And moving right in. And we do have A number of illustrations and photographs throughout. Warren Hastings here. A little bit farther in we have Dr. Johnson. And some more nice images throughout. Here we have the old waterworks in Fairmount Park, Philadelphia. And I enjoyed a couple of A. Edward Newton's books last year. And I have 2 or 3 of them on my shelf already. But recently I thought it would be nice to expand my collection of his books and perhaps try to collect all of his books on book collecting. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't even looked to see how many are out there. There's quite a few, but this is A Magnificent Farce from 1921. And then I picked up The Greatest Book in the World, which is actually a library discard. It was one of the few copies out there that I could find, but we've got the old call number on the spine, which I really don't mind. For me at this point, it's about getting them all onto my shelves, reading through them all, and if I stumble across a edition in better condition later on, then perhaps I'll pick it up. But for now, this was a nice affordable copy and one that I could actually find. As you can see, it's been through a lot. We've got tape stains, we've got water stains, we've got the corners starting to disintegrate because these boards, they're literally just paper. They're cardboard. They're not cloth. The spine itself is bound in cloth, but the rest of the book is just this thick cardboard material, which I've noticed in other books of the era and earlier that are made of this material. It really does disintegrate. But we open it up and we've got this beautiful end paper, which I don't think is original. I think someone might have pasted this into the book themselves, perhaps to cover up some other imperfections or perhaps just because they liked it. The first indication that it's not original is that it goes off the edges of the damaged boards. Second of all, it's in excellent condition for a book that's so battered, and it exceeds just ever slightly the rest of the text block. So I think what someone has done is they've pasted it into the front of the book, and they've done the same in the back. And I have to say I don't mind because this one's in quite rough condition, and it is quite a beautiful pattern. If you look closely, it's floral, and it's this muted green, which I quite like. Muted green, or perhaps it's brown. I think it might be brown. My eyes are playing tricks on me in this late evening lighting. So we have a wonderful frontispiece here of the Washington Memorial Chapel, Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. And I sort of have a soft spot for grand churches and cathedrals. So that's quite beautiful to see. So this is The Greatest Book in the World and Other Papers. Published once again in Boston, Little Brown and Company, 1925. And this one is a little bit of a later edition. So this is the second impression from September of 1925. But between that, we had 3 other editions published. The first in September of 1925. And obviously quite a popular book if we had not only the first publishing, but the first impression of a trade edition and the second impression of the book, all within the same month in September of 1925. And we've got a dedication to Henry Hanby Hay, the founder of the club. But looking through here for the table of contents, we have a number of chapters / essays again. The Greatest Book in the World, The Ghosts of Gough Square, Shakespeare and the Old Vic, Dialogue Between Father and Son, Change Cars at Palloy, A Royal Book Collector, Divine and His Works, London in the 1880s, Are Comparisons Odious, Color-Plated Books, Sporting Books, Skinner Street News, The Greatest Little Book in the World, and The Last of His Race. And we have a list of the illustrations here. And then what caught my eye already, just a few pages in, is the title page of the Coverdale Bible from 1535. And the caption here says, "The First Complete Bible in English." And that is absolutely gorgeous reproduction here. And I think I saw another interesting illustration or reproduction here. Not the best, but we do have here a portion of one column of the Gutenberg Bible reproduced here, just in black and white. That gives you some indication of what it looks like, but certainly there are better reproductions in full color available. Scanning through here. So the greatest book in the world does seem to be on the Bible, and we have several examples of it throughout. Here's a Bible from 1611. And this book is just chocked full of wonderful illustrations. Here's a needlework binding, an English art which flourished in the time of James I. The original is 9 by 13 inches, both sides and back embroidered. So that would take quite a lot of work to embroider a binding with such an intricate illustration. We have Washington's Prayer for the United States of America. Fred Leslie and Nellie Farron. Not sure what this is in reference to, but that's quite a funny picture there. And we do have some color illustrations here for sporting books from a rare colored print engraved by Miller after a portrait by Webb. And so I don't know if that's an indication of what they were able to get the rights or the licenses to reprint, or an indication of the author's values, that he would choose to put a sporting picture in color, but a piece of the Gutenberg Bible in black and white. We have the grave of Shelley in the Protestant cemetery at Rome. Great big gravestone there. So as I said, I recognize that illustration. It's the Ghost of Christmas Present from a facsimile of original drawing by John Leech, used in early editions of the Christmas Carol. And my edition of the Christmas Carol does indeed have this John Leech illustration. But as I said, a couple of A. Edward Newton books about books and book collecting, wonderful collections of essays to read through, and I'm certainly looking forward to digging into these. And maybe I'll just show you briefly a gift from a friend that I was given today. And this is just a new tote bag with a Matisse on it, and this is one of my favorites. A while back, I came across a Penguin paperback edition of Simone de Beauvoir, and I believe it might have been Memoirs of a Dutiful Daughter, or She Came to Stay, or I don't even recall anymore, but one of Simone de Beauvoir's books that was printed by Penguin in English used this Matisse painting as the cover art, which I found quite interesting at the time and quite beautiful. And so I was telling my friend that I was hoping to get a new tote bag, and that it would be wonderful to find something with this particular painting on it. And so she was able to find this for me for my birthday as an early gift. And so it's quite wonderful, good for carrying books. And it's a linen or canvas material, something pretty hardy. I said, if you find me a bag, it needs to have strong handles, and this one does appear to, so I can carry plenty of books in this one. So it was a nice day for the mail. Glad that these arrived. I'd been waiting, and it's just sort of by coincidence that they both arrived on the same day, because this one came from the United States, a bookseller in the States, and this one came from a bookseller in Ireland. Two different sellers, two different countries, and yet they both managed to arrive in my mailbox on the same day. So I hope that everyone out there is having a great evening, and I'll see you all again soon.